It's fashion tea time. Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode 2. Shamia and Pinky are doing freeze baths. They're in 42 degrees Celsius of water. And Shamia's like, how long we gotta stay in here? He's like, about a minute. She's like, oh no. But they get in, they start singing the national anthem, doing their little freeze bath. Drew and Angela meet up to have lunch at Park 82. Angela is wearing a sparkling silver dress that seems to look nice on her. And Drew has on a leather or probably vegan leather jacket over a brown beige leopard shirt with jeans. The jacket looks a little flimsy because it's probably not real. No shade. It's okay to save the animals. I'm all for that. But because it's not real, it's not giving that like plush, lush look of a leather jacket. But Drew's hair and her makeup, they do look very nice. Just kind of neat, simple look, and her nails look nice. Okay, so Drew is telling Angela that she just did a movie with Claudia Jordan. Now, Claudia Jordan used to be a housewife of Atlanta, but she was only on for a very short period of time because her and the ladies didn't really mesh too well. But Claudia Jordan also does other things like radio and talk show hosts and things like that. So she did a movie with Drew, and Drew says she's not sure who else she's going to invite to the movie premiere, but she would like Angela to go. Angela was like, oh, okay, I see you out here doing your thing. You working, you getting the bags. Drew said, yes, I have to get all the bags because of the divorce invoices. So we see that divorce is costing her, unfortunately. And she has made mention to this before of how expensive the divorce proceedings are. So hopefully, again, that those are going to be settled soon for her so she could get back to stacking her money and not spend it all on divorce invoices. Phaedra's son, Aiden, is now driving her around, and he's about to go to high school. So Phaedra is reminiscing about how it was not too long ago when people were asking her about her due date and when she was going to have the baby, and so they switched back to an old clip. Now, if you don't know, Phaedra was lying back then, talking about she was due at a certain time when she really wasn't due yet, because she was trying to say that she had the baby or she got pregnant after she was married, but really it wasn't. And there was just some confusion about the timeline of her saying how long she was pregnant for and when she was going to be due. Again, you know, Phaedra be lying. And then she's also reminiscing about how not too long ago she was taking Aiden to kindergarten, and now she is having him drive her around, and he's about to go to high school. Phaedra said Aiden's been driving since he was 12 years old because he's been his father's designated driver. So she was trying to make an insinuation that Apollo, Aiden's father, is out here being a drunk, and so he can't drive himself home. So the producers asked her, is Aiden also your designated driver? And she was like, no, I'm not a drunk. I'm a Christian lady, so I don't do all of that. But she said she does not like to drive, so she does like her son Aiden driving her around. So she's trying to insinuate that Apollo is out here being a drunk and can't drive himself home. Now, apparently it doesn't seem like Apollo has ever had a DUI, so that's good. But he was arrested in 2024, but that was a domestic violence dispute that he had with his ex-wife. So safe driving to Aiden, and good luck in high school. Now they at the dirty tea. Portia, K. Michelle, and Kelly are going to have some tea, and let's see if things get dirty. So Portia looks really nice. That's a nice fitted dress, but look at that flower detail on top. It's like 3D. That looks really nice. And a nice gold locket, necklace, just keeping things simple, matching her earrings. K. Michelle comes in. She looks really nice and relaxed and stylish. You see she's kind of going for that wide leg look lately. And her purse looks really nice too. Just kind of adding some nice detail to a simple, stylish outfit. Kelly comes in. They say she's looking like Thelma and Louise, with the polka dot scarf on and her glasses. She got the swoop in her face, the nice bright red lipstick. Okay, it's nice how her top comes down, the white and black. And the straps are kind of making it look like it's two different tops, but it's one top. And so the black and white is matching with the nice red lipstick. Kelly's necklace also looks nice. It looks like some pearls, but she also has the leather belted chain link that looks really nice. You know what would look nice too? A little more red accessories just to complement the black and white and the red lipstick, but she looks nice. All the ladies look really nice. This looks like a nice outfits for some dirty tea. Now the ladies are recapping Portia's dinner party, and they're saying that Portia threw off a really nice event and things like that. They started talking about Drew's phone date who was black, and they're saying that, what is she doing with him? K. Michelle's like, he be in my DMs talking about, oh, you so fine and this and this and that. Portia's like, well, Drew did say that that's not her man, so he could do whatever he wants and stuff like that. Then they start talking about Kelly's date, and supposedly he be getting around ATL as well. But Kelly said, she just came out of a long-term marriage, like 11 years, and right now she just wants to have fun. She's not trying to do anything serious, so she's just kicking it with him, and that's just what that is. The ladies start ordering some tea, but they ordering some whiskey tea, right? So apparently K. Michelle was on the low drinking her whiskey tea, and the ladies didn't realize that she was having some alcohol in the tea. So they was like, oh, let me get some of that too. That whiskey tea. I wonder how that tea tastes. K. Michelle said that whiskey tea is strong. Portia said that it was a good party because someone sent her a video of K. Michelle with her wig almost all the way off as K. Michelle was leaving the party. So K. Michelle said she couldn't get it all the way off, so that's how she left the party, and I guess that was a good party then. Some stuff must have happened after the camera stopped rolling, obviously. K. Michelle said she was happy to announce that this week she will be doing the Academy of Country Music Honors, so she's going to be up in Nashville doing that, and she said it's such an honor for her to have been asked to participate, and she's really looking forward to it. K. Michelle said her first country music song should be rolling out in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that if you haven't already heard it. Now the ladies switched to talking about the situation between Portia and Kelly. Kelly was new last season she came on, but it seemed like there was some friction between her and Portia. And Portia's like, I'm glad that we're in a better space now. And Kelly said, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know you better and for things to be better between us. Kelly is like, there is a lot that we do have in common. But Portia's like, that's true, but first we also need to address kind of what the issues were that caused us to have that friction. Portia is like, she feels that when Kelly got a little closer to Shamia, that is when Kelly turned toxic towards Portia. And Kelly is like, oh, no, that's not the case. That's not the reason that didn't happen. Portia brings up a interview that Kelly did in which Kelly said that Portia needs to stop sleeping with married men. And Portia said that she was really hurt by that, and it takes a lot to hurt her. Portia's like, I think it stings more when somebody is saying that and they know they're not clean. So now the dirty tea is about to come out. Portia starts talking about, oh, you was just sleeping with a married man, Kelly, like 2 months ago. Kelly is denying it, of course, saying she never slept with a married man, and that's not true. Portia is saying BET weekend that Kelly slept with a married man and went afterward back to his wife. So apparently, but this gets a little funny and sounds a little crazy. Apparently, while she was in bed with the married man, she starts talking about Portia and Dennis. And that's why it got back to Portia. Okay, that sounded really crazy. And so Kelly is like, if I was sleeping with somebody or doing something, why would I be thinking or talking about Portia or Dennis? And she's like, have you seen Dennis lately? And they show a clip of Dennis. Okay, so I mean, that sounds a little funny, but I mean, anything is possible. But at the same time, that doesn't really sound too legit that she's in bed talking about them too. But who knows? Anyway. Kelly's like, well, if you want to accuse me of this, where are the receipts? And Portia's like, I am the receipt, because Portia is saying that the person told her about it and stuff like that. And so that sounds a little crazy. Doesn't sound like some clear receipts. But obviously, Portia is holding on to what Kelly said about her last season, and she is hurt, and she's also coming for her revenge and trying to accuse Kelly of also sleeping with a married man. Portia is saying she was out with a friend of hers, and that person received a text from the married man talking about, I just, quote unquote, have relations with Kelly. So this is how Portia knows this situation. Again, this is sounding all a little bizarre and crazy. If that married man did do this, why would he incriminate himself by texting someone and telling them? But then again, they are on a show, they are known, so maybe it was like for clout or something, but maybe the situation is not true at all. But I guess we'll see how things evolve during the season. Portia is also saying she has text messages of people providing this information to her, and so she's like, I will show it to you, but we haven't seen any text messages yet. And even if you do show a text message, that does not mean that is legit or anything else. But so far, it doesn't really seem like there are really any legit receipts about this situation. If Portia was trying to establish a better relationship with Kelly, this was not the way to go about it at all. Obviously, Portia really does not want to establish a good relationship with Kelly. She's just trying to get her looks back, quote unquote, and get back at Kelly for what Kelly said about her. K. Michelle's like, I'm so confused about what's happening, and this is not fair that Portia is talking about this lady's hot pocket here. Portia is like, I have a name, and Kelly's like, I have a name too. And Portia's like, I don't speak on your name. And Kelly's like, well, obviously you just did. You just said I sleep with married men. And Portia's like, well, I didn't say it out loud to the press, to everyone. I'm saying this in private. And Kelly's like, well, no, this is not private. You're saying this now. I mean, I don't think these people start to realize, like, nothing you do on this show is private. So for you to say you're having a private conversation that is being taped to nationally be broadcasted, it's not a private conversation. But she is trying to say, well, I didn't go and say it on to the show, but really it was just the after show. It wasn't press that Kelly said that to. That was the after show that she was filming with her and Shamia, and she made that comment. And again, Portia is feeling like that was made public, and so now she's going to make it public as well, making the statements that she has made about Kelly. So K. Michelle is trying to say, like, okay, some things have been said, but let's kind of move on. Let bygones be bygones. She's like, Kelly, you okay? Kelly was like, I'm okay. I didn't really like what was said, but I'm okay. And then Kelly's like to Portia, so you want to hug on it and whatever. So they get up and hug. And it's so crazy how short Kelly is. Oh my God. She like literally comes right up to Portia's breast. So they start joking and talking about, okay, you right where you supposed to be, whatever. And they give each other a hug. And Kelly's like in the confessional, like, I chose to give her a hug because I couldn't beat her down. So I chose to hug her. So they kind of laughing and kiki, and that's how they end it. But you know, the drama just got brewing between them now for the season based on this little situation and accusation. So that dirty tea just got really dirty. Now they at Pinky Cole's house. She got a nice house. Look at those columns in the backyard. That really makes the house stand out and look really nice and modern. Pinky's talking about how her and her husband got together. So they've been married for 5 years now. They got pregnant 3 months after meeting. So she said, do as I say, not as I do. Montel Jordan was their officiator, so he married them. They have 3 children biologically, but her husband has 2 other kids. So they have a total of 5 kids together. So they playing around with Pinky's mother, and her husband is like, oh, ask her how she had 3 kids back to back. And they're like, oh, she's talking about she want to have another kid. And Pinky Cole's mother was like, oh, no, not up in this house. And they're like, well, guess what? We already pregnant. And she's like, oh, no, y'all better be joking, because there ain't no more kids coming up in this house. How the mother is telling them they not having no more kids, but they just joking. They not really pregnant right now. But who knows? They might have some more kids. She's talking about how she started Slutty Vegan, and her mother was such an inspiration to her. Her mother is Jamaican, so she said she grew up straight Jamaican, and her mother taught her the value of working and things like that. So Pinky built up her Slutty Vegan franchise from her 2-bedroom apartment in 2018. When she got the ghost truck, she said there would be about 500 people out there waiting for some Slutty Vegan food, so she was doing really well. She went and opened up 14 locations that were doing really well. She built a $100 million brand. But the people that she put in place couldn't take her where she wanted to go. And she wound up being $20 million in debt. So she's doing a speaking event when she starts talking about how she lost her company for 43 days. But then she was able to buy it back. She felt like a lot of people lied on her and they did things to cause her business to not do well. But now she is building back up her business. She brought a new team in. She brought in a new president. She said she might even be brand new herself because she's trying to do better for her business this time around. Her and her husband are talking about, maybe they went through what they went through for their next season in life. And her husband also does Big Dave's Cheesecakes. And so he's talking about, him building up his franchises and things like that. But Pinky's like, maybe you don't need to build up all of those businesses right now. I think obviously what she experienced, she's being a little more cautious. Sometimes you can build real fast, but then you're going to crumble real fast. So you got to take it slow. Her and her husband are talking about their relationship, and he said he likes being with a dominant woman because it makes him level up. And they're talking about their relationship and how they complement each other. And they're discussing some hard times that they had, especially when she was going through what she was going through as her businesses were failing and she was in a lot of financial strains and issues and things like that. So Pinky starts crying because of what she experienced. Her husband was saying he didn't necessarily know how to be there for her because he was going through some big wins in his life, but at the same time she was going through some big losses in her life. And he said he might not have been there the best that she wanted, but he was the best that he could be at that time. They say everybody in marriages, they go through their own issues and things like that, and that was something that they had to go through and get through, and they are happy they went through it, and things are gonna just get better from here. So she said, get your popcorn because Slutty Vegan is about to be bigger and better than even before. K. Michelle has purchased a new home, and her and her husband are going there. So she said her and her husband have been best of friends since junior high. She said she went into the situation saying she didn't want to be married, but when he didn't marry her or asked to marry her, then she was offended. So then she left the relationship for a while and then came back and said, okay, now do what you're supposed to do. K. Michelle said that Kasten popped the question because he didn't have any other choice. Again, how you forcing someone to do something that they really don't want to do, but they do it, and then let's see how things work out. So she said she had to pop out and let him know. And I guess he said, okay, fine, I'm going to marry you. So they got married at the courthouse. And now they got their new house that they're going to move into. Her husband said, I just need a man cave. That's all I need in the house. And K. Michelle said she don't think no man need no cave at all. So let's see how that's going to work out, if he going to get his man cave or not. So now she's designated places in the home for him to have as far as his closet space and things like that. He said he just needs to get his Georgia license to practice dentistry in Georgia. He has a successful practice in Memphis, Tennessee with his father, but now he's kind of trying to branch out and do his own thing and start it in Atlanta. Now K. Michelle's talking about this man Sausage, and that is how she is terming it, okay? She says she don't understand how, as a dentist, he's over there working in people's mouth, but his sausage is over there at eye level at these ladies' face, okay? So I guess this is what she's thinking about. She said that's one of the reasons why she married him is for his sausage, and so she worried about other women looking at his sausage. Now they're in the backyard looking at the view of the home, and K. Michelle was also talking about she would like a baby. Okay, so K. Michelle's trying to have a baby. She does have a 21-year-old son, and she would like a little girl because she would like to have a little mini me. She is struggling in her infertility, and if you know anything about K. Michelle, in the past, she has struggled with putting things in her body as far as enhancements, and that have negatively affected her body. And we see obviously that she's still struggling with some of these things that might also be affecting her, and then her age and infertility and things like that. But she definitely does say she would like a baby girl, and let's see if that's going to happen for her and Dr. Kasten. So she gets the keys to the house, and it's official. This is her new home, and she is all excited. Now, Shamia, Kelly, and Angela are out shopping. Look at Shamia's legs and her body. She is looking good up in those shorts, stepping into the store. So she's meeting up with Kelly and Angela, and Kelly is not just seeming the best of herself. So Kelly says that she just heard that her ex-husband did an interview with Tasha K, who is a blogger. So obviously that's not the best news that you want to hear, that your ex-husband is out there doing interviews. But again, some of this is expected because you are in the public spotlight now. And we actually haven't seen him on this show, actually, like last season or anything. So we haven't heard anything from her ex-husband. But now, obviously, he is putting himself out into the public and doing interviews. Kelly said her divorce was final September 2024, and she just really wants it behind her. She says she's not surprised that her husband did this and went to speak to a blogger, and in her opinion, a distasteful one. But she said she's not surprised, but it does hurt her. She says she feels like her ex-husband is not going to stop emotionally draining her until he feels like he's succeeded. Angela says she can't stand a man who talks too much, and those are BITCH qualities. Shamia said, when God is blessing, the devil is messing. Now they start shopping for their daughters and finding some little cute outfits and things like that. Some of those things do look really cute. Now Kelly is talking about her finances, and she said the debt is debting. So in the blogs, there were discussions about her owing like $26,000 to a landlord, and she owed over $100,000 in other unpaid real estate dealings. And she said that she has spent over $100,000 just to have the store be able to be open. So she said Cha-Cha has not been getting all that maintenance. Last season when Kelly came on, she was spending a lot of money. She was spending money on those dogs getting groomed and all of this extra stuff for her dog. She was spending so much money on parties and celebrations, and even for her daughter's birthday party. And it's okay, that's your child, you want to spend money, but she would seem to be ODing. She bought her like 16 name brand bags. It was a little over financially zealous. And sometimes that's what people do. They come on the show and they want to project that they have all this money. And then we start to see that catch up to them. So when you're dealing with divorce and businesses and things like that, you need to watch how you are spending your money, how you're showing all of that. And to come onto the show and be successful, you do not have to show that you have all this money. It's better to maintain an appropriate financial profile than to be splurging when you really don't have it and then find yourself in debt. But Kelly is going to be opening her new chicken and waffle spot. So that's the one that she was owing the rent to and is paid. And so hopefully her financial situation can turn around for the better. Angela said, even if her and Kelly, they have their issues, one thing is true, that Kelly's food does taste good. So that chicken and waffles, they probably do taste good. So hopefully that's going to help her get her money back up. Now Shamia is bringing up to Angela the situation of which Drew stated to Phaedra that Angela's receipts were not receipting, what they discussed at the party. So Angela said, yes, she did have time to process it, and it is what it is. It doesn't seem like she has any bad thoughts about the situation, and she's not going to let that negatively affect her relationship with Drew. In the confessional, Angela is saying she doesn't know why Shamia wants her and Drew to have an issue. And that's what does start to happen on these shows, is that people see friendships and then they want to come in and undermine the friendships and create things or point out things or bring things to help cause issues within friendships. Now Kelly is discussing the tea that her and K. Michelle and Portia had, and the statement that Portia said to Kelly about, you need to stop sleeping with married men. Now Kelly is saying, wait a minute, Portia. So the ladies are like, wow, you said that? And she was like, no, I probably didn't say that, but I'm saying that now. She said, you're the same lady that went to another woman's house, shook her hand, and then went and shook the husband's hand, and then went and married her husband. The ladies say, are you inviting Portia to the event, which is the grand opening of the chicken and waffles? And Kelly said, yeah, she's probably going to invite her, but she's going to have to pay for her own chicken and waffles. Now they're at the movie premiere run that Drew did with Claudia Jordan. So she's really excited. She said that also her music album is also out, and she said she needs to be making some money because those divorce proceedings are expensive, and she said the movies are her bread and butter. So her mother is also there showing her some love. That red and those dreads are looking really nice, okay? She's discussing the movie. So it's a sci-fi movie with women of color. And she's saying, this is not an area that a lot of women of color are tapped into. So she's excited to be in this movie. So Phaedra walks in and Angela's like, oh, I'm surprised to see you here. And Phaedra said, that she called Drew and said, we shouldn't really have any issues and things like that. And so Drew said, she doesn't. And so she invited Phaedra to the movie premiere. And obviously, Phaedra came. Angela is asking Phaedra, did you tell those people to come to those events and say those things about me and my husband last season? And of course, Phaedra's like, no, I did not. And Angela is like, oh, and I'm sorry if I accused you and things like that. I should have asked you. Okay, Angela, you're wildin'. Why are you apologizing to Phaedra, first of all? Okay, because Phaedra definitely did send those people. The man even said that Phaedra sent her. Okay, but anyways, but it seems like obviously Angela does not want to have an issue with Phaedra and vice versa. So it's good that, maybe they could put that behind them and that things could get better between Phaedra and Angela. All right, now Portia walks in and she has a lady friend with her named Sway. And she says she's in uncharted waters. And she said, call me Christopher Columbus. But remember, Christopher Columbus was lost up in those waters. So be careful about that. Okay. So she is over here. And this is her, this is her date. Okay. So we had, tall Baldy and at the dinner party. But now she bringing Lady Sway over here. And she's not married. I guess she's out here dating, doing her thing. She can do what she want to do. So Sway goes to get them some shots, and then the ladies start asking her, 101 million questions about her dating the lady. And she's saying, it's just casual. We just dating. That's all. Now, this is not the first time that we've seen Portia with a lady. And, it's her prerogative. She would like to do what she would like to do. This is no surprise. Hopefully she's not doing it just for reaction and things of that nature. Just to be doing something just to get some TV time. You know what I'm saying? But, she's newly divorced and single. Do what she want to do. Now Angela over here being messy, spreading the tea. She over there talking about what Kelly said as far as Portia saying that Kelly is sleeping with a married man. And Portia's like, oh, she went and spread her own tea, her own rumors. And Portia's like, oh, well, I said it and then we hugged it out. So then I thought it was done. Then Angela is like, well, she called you Portia. And Portia is like, once we ended the conversation, it was done. Yeah, maybe for you, Portia, but no, not for Kelly. But Angela, why you over here being messy? Let's see. Angela is being very messy right now. So now Portia said she is not coming on Friday to Kelly's event. And Angela said, you don't want no chicken and waffles? And she said, Portia's like, no, I'm not doing carbs right now anyway. So now they're in the movie premiere. They watching the movie. They showing the little clips of Drew. So Drew goes out in the, in the movie, Drew goes out into the car. And they was all like, she died in the first couple of seconds of the movie. And it wasn't 15 minutes. It was actually 35 minutes into the movie that she died. And Phaedra is like, that was a little strange because Drew's from Chicago, so they thought she was going to last a little longer. But Drew's like, well, actually, you don't really know what happened, so I guess you guys stay tuned for part 2. And then, Drew be wildin'. She's going and looking up all the scary movies of the people who died real quick. So she's like, Drew Barrymore died in the first 10 minutes of Scream. Like, it's okay. It's just a movie. You died when you died. It's all right. But Drew be so insecure. Drew said that she's really happy that the ladies came out to support her, especially, with all the issues they were having before. So she said she really feels like they can get through whatever they need to get through in this group and be supportive of each other. So that was good. Now it's the day before Kelly's grand opening. They still trying to get things together. And if you remember from last season, when they were showing like the stuff was not almost complete and things like that, and she was trying to do renovations and stuff like that, but she says she's trying to enjoy the moment of her sacrifices and she wants everything to go well. She said the health inspector came and she was like, well, you was just here, but everything went well. They got approved. So one of her assistants workers, he said, the devil comes out to play when something big is on the horizon. So I don't know, this episode, everybody's talking about the devil this, the devil that, the devil this, the devil that. Blame it on the devil. But Kelly says she's happy they passed and she didn't know what was going to be happening a couple of months ago. But, they've made it here and she's just really looking forward to opening. And she's discussing, the debt that she's had and financial strain of going through the divorce and also being a single mother. She says she needs that additional stream of income to not just take care of her and her children, but also her mother and her father and her sister came to Atlanta for her, to be there for her and support her. And she wants to be able to support them as well. Now is the day of Kelly's grand opening and the ladies are stepping in looking good. Shamia's parents also came and showed up. Okay. Now, Phaedra comes in and she calls Angela my friend. So all the ladies like, my friend, like last time we saw y'all was beefing. And Angela's like, well, I'm just going to take this one as my friend. And, that's what it is. So that's good. So Shamia's like, wait, so what happened? And they're like, they don't really want to discuss it. But Shamia was like, when I was having my issue with Portia, y'all done wanted me to discuss it and not sweep it under the rug. So Shamia's like, well, what happened? I want to know what y'all talked about. So that is showing like Shamia does have interest in their issue. Like it has nothing to do with you. If they solve the issue, then what should be the reason for you to want to know all the details? And just appreciate that that's one less piece of drama that you got to be dealing with. They're talking about K. Michelle. Obviously, she's not there because she's at her Nashville performance where she said she was going to be at. Kelly pulls up in her nice red suit. Okay, she's so excited. She has made it to the finish line and she is ready to celebrate and eat some chicken and waffles. Pinky and Kelly started talking and Pinky's like, I'm so proud of you and stuff like that. Kelly was like, thank you. But, I did feel a way when you left me on red. Remember, she had reached out to Pinky via DM and Pinky did not respond to her. So they're both from Baltimore. So I guess she thought she was going to have that connection. They're both in the food industry and stuff like that. And Pinky said, I do want to apologize to you, but you got to understand, I was going through my own situation at that time when I left you on red. So it was no bad intent when I left you on red, but I just wasn't in a space where I could respond. And Kelly said, she respects that, understands that. And, that is okay. Like, sometimes you are going through whatever you're going through and you cannot always respond or entertain certain things. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's something negative. But obviously, we know that Pinky was going through whatever she was going through at that time. So that was real. And she just could not or did not want to open up that line of conversation and speak to her at that time because of the space that she was in. Kelly is giving her grand opening speech. She starts talking about, all the things that could have happened negative this week happened, like people coming at me, people making podcasts, hint, she talking about her ex-husband and stuff like that. She starts crying, almost like, she's getting emotional, saying it was such a struggle this last week, all the things that she had to go through. She said she didn't even want to show up today, but she is grateful for her family. She has her grandmother there, her mother, and her team, and the people that truly love her, and she's grateful for all of them. She said the road to get here has not been easy, but it has been worth it. And she is proud to announce that this new location is now open. So let them eat chicken and waffles. Now Kelly received some roses and they're like, oh, who is this from? And the note says, congratulations, Kelly. P.S. Need to talk. XOXO Portia Williams. Kelly said, you can take these flowers out of here. So Kelly is telling all the ladies now about the situation that happened between her and Portia, because all of them didn't know what happened. And she's saying that Portia is accusing her of having relations with a married man. So Pinky was like, oh, who's this married man? Is he cute or anything? And Kelly said, let's be very clear. I'm not sleeping with nobody's husband, but I'm going to find my own new husband, okay? So she said, let me go back into this kitchen and start cooking, get this food going, okay? So now they're eating the food, and the food seems to be tasting good, okay? Drew says one thing about Kelly is that Kelly can fry some chicken, all right? Cynthia's like, oh, this tastes good, whatever. They trying to get on Cynthia talking about, you got all those pieces in your plate you need to share. And then Pinky is like, she don't eat chicken. So they like, you strictly vegan? Like, you don't eat nothing? No eggs, no cheese, no nothing? Pinky's like, yeah, she don't eat none of that. She is the owner and creator of Slutty Vegan. So, yeah, she's vegan. And now Portia is on the phone with the ladies, and now Kelly is going in on Portia, talking about some broken flowers from a broken person and stuff like that. Portia's like, oh, well, enjoy your brunch. Okay. And they get off the phone. So you already see the tension is going to be going back and forth this season. That little hug that they did at Dirty Tea was not going to settle that situation. That is just the beginning of this whole rumor about sleeping with a married man. Now, let's look at this purple feather ensemble that Kelly is wearing in the confessional. Now, sometimes when you do too many feathers and everything, you start looking like a peacock or something. But I must say, the color is looking really nice. So that nice lavender, it is matching Kelly's skin tone and everything. And it does make her look like, a beautiful peacock. So everybody cannot wear all these feathers and things like that and not look horrendous. But the way Kelly has it is looking nice, also with her short blonde bob and then the jewels coming down. Now I must say though, the problem with all those big gaudy jewels is those things are probably fake, right? And so listen, if you want to wear some jewels, you should be wearing some real jewels. Otherwise, don't wear them. Wear something else. I'm all for wearing real things. If it's not real, then for the most part, no. I don't want to see it. Especially when they're so big and gaudy. So that does look nice, though, coming down her breast line. And it fills out right there. And then, we have all the feathers coming up. But again, something that was real in the middle would have just made it perfect. But Kelly, you did do it with those lavender feathers over there, looking like a lavender peacock. So now they're kind of ending the event. And of course, other drama got to come up. Now, Drew is kind of talking about what was happening between her and Shamia before. And remember, Shamia's mother is there too. And Kelly's mother is also there. And Shamia's mother is like, listen, y'all need to be bringing positivity to the situation and stuff like that. Shamia's mother is saying, don't y'all see the enemy trying to tear y'all down? And you have to take the spirit of Jesus and tell the devil he's a liar. Again, I see they going to church on this episode. Okay. So Drew is like, she was raised in the church, and she's not going to be disrespectful, but at the same time, she doesn't really want the mothers to be in their argument. Also, Drew's mother is also a pastor too, and so Drew is like, you don't want my mother to come up here and start saying nothing. Drew is saying how she felt about Shamia giving that apology, and how Shamia said, I could have said other things, I could have went worse. And Drew saying she took that as a threat, but Shamia is saying like that's not what her intention was and things like that. So they hug it out, and, they trying to say it's solved. Let's see for how long it's solved. Sometimes you just got to let things go, especially if y'all going to continue to try to be in this so-called friend group. That's the problem with Housewives. Housewives are not friends, but they make it seem like they have to be friends, and they try to be friends, and then you see all of these fractions that keep on happening. So now they switch to the live Academy of Country Music Honors show where K. Michelle is performing. Okay, she is so honored and proud to have been given this opportunity, and she looks wonderful. Then they switch back to Atlanta, where K. Michelle is the next day in the hospital, and she is discussing the reason why she's in the hospital. So she's saying that right before her concert performance, they said she was leaking. Some liquids were coming out of her, and she didn't even realize. So they had to take her in the back and try to clean her up and see where it was coming from. It was coming from a wound in her body. And so now she's back at the hospital, trying to see obviously what was going on. And the doctor is telling her that it is from some of the surgery that she had before. The wounds opened up and they didn't necessarily heal, and she's having some issues with them. So they need to go out and clean some of the wounds and things like that. So K. Michelle starts getting emotional because she is saying, these are things that she did to her own body and that are causing this to affect her now. And so she obviously has some regret and remorse for what she chose to do to her body. This is, again, what she did with those enhancing methods to enhance her buttocks and breasts and other things that she did. Again, this is what I stated before. We know some of K. Michelle's journey with this outside of this show. Now, obviously, it's playing out on this show, but hopefully K. Michelle continues on her healing journey mentally, physically, emotionally, and also serving for other people to learn from this devastating public situation that K. Michelle is, telling. She's telling her story of the silicone and enhancements that she wanted to get, that a lot of women do want to get and that they do get, and the effects that it can have on your body long term, and even to harm and kill you as well, disfigure you and cause you a lot of physically and mental, emotional harm in the long run. So again, hopefully K. Michelle is continuing to heal, and we'll see about her journey on the rest of the episodes of the show. And that's it for this fashion tea.